What's going on, sandboxers? We have another new blog post for this week, so you already know the deal. Let's just get right into it. Geary starts this week's blog post talking about package flares. Packages now show more information in the top left corner, as you can see right here in the image. Some of these new flares are workshop approved, which is a clothing item that has been accepted, updated since played. This game or map has been updated since you last played it. Favorite, which shows that you have favorited this package, and contest winner. This package won a prize in a game jam. A new changeless feature has been added, as Geary feels this is very important for games and maps. He wants to properly show players that enjoy certain games that there's a new update for their favorite games. They've also made this independent from the normal news you'd get on a game package, as they have their own dedicated section and also show on the front page. Geary shares that there's a new backend for a quality metric for games and maps. If these game packages do not have a complete profile, they'll be punished. The examples he mentions relates to if a person publishing a game has no thumbnail, description, tags, categories, screenshots, or even videos, it will automatically be treated as a low quality upload. On top of that, it will be punished on the discovery screen. According to Geary, this is a direct response to a ton of organizations that would put out at least 7 games with 0 effort. So now this will be the result of any org or developer that puts out low quality slop games and will not appear on the front screen. Alex improves the main menu search with some new features. These include a recommended tag section and recently played games that display when you first click on the search bar. Improvements to search queries now show more relevant results. Relevant search entries are now highlighted and present more information. And finally, making it more obvious that you can view more search results by either clicking the button at the bottom or pressing enter. Lorenz has provided an extensive informative update on sound simulation, as recently they've overhauled the audio system and how sound propagates within sandbox games. So with this update, sound will mimic and behave like they would within the real world. He provides more information within these sections, but there is also a new acoustic simulation option, which you can find within the game settings, and you could turn this on or off if you like. Improvements for this new system also include optimizations for performance, as it should run well between mid and high-end machines. Matt has tidied up display names that will display throughout the engine, so they have 2 different ways to display it. Connection.name, which is the formalized player's name, and connection.displayname, which is always grabbed from Steam alongside any personal nicknames or filtering settings that you have in Steam. And join and leave messages are pushed directly to the chat, so the game code no longer needs to wire this up manually. Sam shows off new fixes and optimizations for volumetric fog. As a result, it looks much cleaner, and you can also tint the fog too, which is really nice. Antopila has updated the terrain once more again with some new features. So now terrain creation is instant, terrain resources are now stored as binary data, and you can change storage resolution dynamically without losing your data. He goes into more details with specifics, so I'd highly recommend checking the link in the description down below for the blog post if you want to know more information. Antopila also has improved painting on terrain, so now it'll handle the appropriate layer to paint, as you can see right here. Sam has created an improved version of the GPU resources viewer. He mentions that you can see it at a glance which textures are active in your scenes, and even see where there are memory leaks. You can also view these GPU memory stats in the game as well. This next one I'm going to combine together since they're related to rendering. Sam has fixed the way that skins are properly shown on player models in Sandbox, as now they're instance and work everywhere without changing any shaders. They're aware of ways that they could make this better, but this is a much needed fix. The next update relates to morphs that can be used for facial animations on characters. As before, if you had a bunch of skinned objects like players, they used to individually update each of these morphs. But now they're all batched and will execute in a single draw call, and also with multiple different models present. Zix provides us with another huge update with Movie Maker and Sandbox. This time around, there's a new create targets option, which should automatically create missing game objects and components that are needed to play back in your movie, which is really awesome. Geary announces that there is now an option to make your game open source, as if you opt opt into this, your code will now be searchable in their new code search page. The purpose of this is to be able to build a library of code so that anyone learning or unsure of how to achieve something will be able to search for a specific class or function and see examples of how this will be used right away. Gary mentions that if you have a ton of models uploaded to your org, just like Facepunch already does, then it would be very hard work to release, hide, or even change the licensing on all these assets. For this week, they've added a new asset batch editor, which you can find within your org's page. This will allow you to apply licenses and more quickly and easily, according to Gary. You can now also view models, games, and materials, and view stats that will be unique to each type of asset. Jace closes this week's blog post with talking about asset library optimizations. In Facepunch's efforts to reduce file sizes on the platform, they've been using the tools that I've mentioned earlier to fully target and optimize most of these assets and materials across all their libraries. They've been able to add more LODs, reduce draw call, and trim down texture resolutions where appropriate without compromising any visuals. So now you should expect a file size reduction up to 70% per asset in some cases. But any pre-existing project that already uses Facepunch's assets can benefit from these changes. And that leads us right into the lightning round. Styles and UI has been updated as new CSS syntax has been added, like inherit, initial, unset, revert, and more to complete what has been missing. Input scoping has been improved as now input can handle multiple game controllers for local, multiplayer, and couch co-op. The cloud browser has been improved to browse collections, prefabs, sprites, decals, a new collections sidebar tab that you can sort through, organization collections easier, and they've added an update all button to reference assets so that you can now update everything all at once. The API endpoint has been changed from services.facepunch.com to public.facepunch.com. Exceptions for packages have been improved to load more reliably and be more accessible. There's now a material and models stat section that you can view to provide you information on its respective properties. Now, with some quick closing thoughts, it seems like this week's update, there's something that's probably going to be happening within this month as we've gotten some improvements, including a new contest winner Flair that has been added, and Gary also recently talking about doing a game jam, which is sorely needed. We also have improvements with the search and punishing games that are low effort as they'll appear less and less on the front page, which is really awesome. Improvements like GPU resources viewer is going to be absolutely huge for optimizations that will help games on S&box, as each experience almost has its own performance issues, which can be a bit of a headache for most players, and a ton more improvements to the editor. But while this is exciting, there has been some other updates that have been happening in the background that will be coming to the platform soon. And it doesn't seem like any of these updates have made it this week, but probably in the next couple weeks. I'll be making a video talking more about these huge improvements, like the new human player models fixes, a new benchmarks page, new cosmetic item rarities that have been added, and more. So if you're interested in any of this stuff, definitely make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, and I will be informing you guys about all these other new changes that are eventually going to be coming to the platform. So that's all I have for this video. Leave your thoughts down below about how you feel about any of these new changes, and I'll see you then in the next video.